Hello, ladies, and my name is Ran, and I am a writer and a musician. Well, the reason why I'm doing this video and taking a break from one of my big projects that I'm working on currently is because a lot of people have been asking me about my weight loss. Yes, I dropped about 35 pounds total, and it did not take long. And it doesn't take long if we do all the right things that it takes to actually get there. And I'm still on my journey to lose more weight. Um, However, this journey is a lifetime journey, and I want everybody to keep that in mind that once you start this, you do not want to stop because fat cells don't just go away, they shrink. Okay. And once we start understanding the hormones that are involved in losing fat, then we will stay on our journey until whenever. Okay. I don't like to say when we die or whatever, because I don't like to be morbid. At any rate, let's get started. The three things that the first thing that I want to talk about first, and I'm going to try to make this a 30-minute video, because I don't want to bore you all to tears, is the hormones. And there are three hormones that you want to keep in mind when you're on a weight loss journey. Okay. Now, there are more hormones that are involved, but I want to keep this under 30 minutes. So here's the three hormones. The first one is insulin. The second one is ghrelin. And then the third one is melatonin. Now, here's how all of this kind of works together, because we have to remember that our bodies is one body. Okay. So something's out of whack, and then something else goes wrong. And these are the things we have to keep in mind. Insulin is the hormone that works to carry nutrients to your cells after you eat. So no matter what you eat, insulin will raise. It could be something healthy. It could be a carrot. It could be celery. Insulin will elevate. Okay. Now, when insulin is working, fat cells or your fat does not mobilize for burning because two systems cannot work at the exact same time. So while insulin is working to take the nutrients to your cells, your fat is locked down. Hence, that's the reason why the more we eat, the more our stored fat is locked, because insulin and fat mobilization cannot work at the same time. Okay. So about maybe 3 hours after you eat, your insulin levels will start to lower. Now, once your insulin levels start to lower, your body will start burning glycogen. Once that is depleted, then fat mobilization starts. Now, fat gets mobilized somewhere about 5 to 6 hours. So let's say you quit eating around 6:30. Oh, I'm gonna round it off and say 6 o'clock. Okay, because I really would recommend that people, if you really want to do this and you're serious, to not eat too late. The earlier you cut off food intake, the better. Because if you cut off food intake around 6 p.m. and you go to bed at 10, your insulin has now flatlined. You are ready to mobilize fat. Period. Point blank. Remember, as long as insulin is elevated, you cannot burn fat. And so by the time you go to bed, if you don't have that crackers or snacks or whatever after dinner, your body is ready to start burning fat. By 3 a.m., you are in your sleep burning fat because you have not eaten for 9 hours. Now, it depends on every single person when you stop eating. But here is the thing. Meal prepping does help us not to eat too late, because we don't come home from work and we're not using time trying to cook meals when we could just be eating that meal at the time we get off work. So if you off by 6 and you can sit down and have your meal right then and there, that would be superb. So when your insulin is lowered, always remember your fat burn can mobilize, and that is stored fat. Okay. The other hormone that I want to talk about is melatonin. Now, this is how this works. Keep in mind that insulin is on a day shift, melatonin is on a night shift. Melatonin begins to rise at a certain time in the evening, 7, 8-ish, maybe, or maybe even before that. I don't know, depending on the season. So when melatonin rises, your body is ready to go to sleep. And we don't realize how much we can actually sleep well with melatonin raised, because if you eat, that's going to interrupt your melatonin. And what you want is that good sleep. Sleep is very important for weight loss, fat burning. Okay, so TVs go off, no blue lights, no looking at screens, no looking at your tablet or your phone or whatever, because your cortisol will start to raise thinking that it's daytime. See, your cortisol raises early in the morning because it's jump starting you to get ready for the day. So your cortisol is a day shift thing as well, a day shift hormone as well. I'm not getting too far into that because there's so many hormones involved in weight loss, but I'm trying to touch on the ones that are the ones you want to focus on the most. And then you can learn about the others later. So cortisol is a day shift hormone. Okay. So as long as you're sitting there looking at TV, you're looking at your screen and this and that, your biology is telling you that it's daytime. So when that light hits your retina, your body starts to respond. That's why I say all of it works together. So with that all being said, now let's go to the hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. I call it the growling gremlin hormone. That hormone is what tells you you're hungry, or so it makes you think you're hungry. Now, here's the thing. If you're used to eating a certain time in the evening, like say 9 o'clock, and you're used to having that snack, your body is telling you, hey, where's the snack? So it's going to have this growling hormone because you are used to your body is used to being programmed to eat at a certain time. So let's say you usually eat about 8 or 9 in the morning, ghrelin will start to rise because it's programmed to think that way. Now, what we're doing is we are reprogramming our body, and we're looking at food different, and we're looking at hunger different, and we're looking at biology different. We cannot understand any of this without biology. So now it's the next morning. You haven't eaten since 6 o'clock the night before. Okay. So now comes the next morning. When you get up in the morning, the first thing you want to do is take a walk if you can. Okay. But we'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to stay on the eating side of this first. So now let's say now it's 6 in the morning, you're getting ready for work. You have fasted. Now watch this. For 12 hours. You have mobilized fat for hours now. And you are in a fasted state. So what do we do with that fasted state? Okay. Now, you might want to consult your doctor, because if you're diabetic or have any other conditions, I would not recommend anyone to do this. But if you sort of have a normal metabolism or whatever, and you don't have any medical issues, you could possibly, let's say you don't eat until 8. Now that's a 14-hour fast. But let's say you wait until more mid-morning, maybe 9:30 or 10. Now we're talking a 16-hour fast, which is basically the most recommended, 16 and 8. That means you use an 8-hour window to eat and a 16-hour window to flatline, keep that insulin flatline. So what I do when I go into work, I take a 30 to 45-minute walk around the building where I work. Walking in a fasted state actually mobilizes more fat burn. And this is how I lost weight. I lost over 30 pounds in less than 4 months. Because what you're doing is you are accelerating fat burn when you walk fasted. Because remember, as soon as you eat, that insulin is going to raise fat stores are going to lock down, and boom, you're back at square one. So you want to keep that momentum going when you get up. You want to exercise. Walking is very good. A walk, moderate brisk walk, is good. You don't have to run. You don't have to do anything strenuous. You don't have to kill yourself. All you need to do is take a moderate walk. Because the minute you jumpstart that, cortisol is going to raise if you go intense, and you go anaerobic, which is intense exercise, versus aerobic, which is moderate. Once you go anaerobic, cortisol is going to raise, fat stores are going to lock back down, and boom. Okay, so you get that so far? So now when you decide to eat, like around 9, 10-ish, okay, the first thing we want to put down is protein. Like if you have some boiled eggs, this is why I suggest meal prep. I cannot recommend that enough. Meal prepping is your friend. You take a day out of the week where you prep food that's going to last you several days, so you are not using too much time cooking food. Okay. So let's say you take a couple of boiled eggs, okay? And someone had asked me about oatmeal, and if it's steel cut oats, yes. If it's regular oatmeal like you buy in the grocery store, I don't know, but if you must have your oatmeal, have the eggs first. Eggs, avocados, nuts, put down the protein first. So if you must eat those carbs, and we'll get to that in a minute, if you must eat those carbs, do not eat them first, because those carbs are going to spike your insulin. Little side note, the more carbs you eat, the more carbs you will crave. Keep that in mind, okay? And when I learned that, I said, wow, didn't know why I crave carbs, because I was a big candy eater. Refined sugar and refined carbs are not your friend. So when you eat around 10-ish, then around 12:30, 1 o'clock, you have your lunch, okay? You are still within your 8-hour eating window, right? Okay, so that's good. Now, when you eat your lunch, go out and take a 15, maybe 10 to 15, 20-minute walk after you have a meal. Because what that's going to do is that's going to burn what you have put down, not stored fat, but you want to mobilize the fuel that you've put down. So you want to burn that up, okay? Because what you want is you want to get your insulin down, 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 as soon as possible, okay? Now, snacking between meals. When and how often should we eat? Always remember that when you snack between meals, you are still raising your insulin, even if it is an apple and an orange or something healthy. You do not want to, what you want to do is keep your insulin as low as possible, okay? Because you don't want to be way up here, and then when it's time to go to bed, you're just right here. You want to be down here. What the thing is that insulin is your friend, but insulin can also work against you in these situations. This is the reason why we have to talk about what we eat, when we eat, and how often we eat. Okay? So once you have trained your body to eat at a certain time, you won't be as hungry earlier in the day or earlier in your day when you get started. Sometimes my stomach starts to growl, I guess around maybe 10 o'clock, and I don't eat until about 12-ish. And you know what I have to keep in mind? That's not hunger, that is dehydration. Because ghrelin will also activate if you are dehydrated. And a lot of people may not know that either. And that was one of the little tricks that I learned. So these little side things are good to keep in mind. Now, let's talk about carbs. Carbs are and should be non-negotiable. Carbs are not your friend. Carbs is the one, refined carbs and refined sugar is the one thing we do not need in our diet. Point, flying, flipping, blank. We do not need carbs in our diet at all. Like, we don't need the cornbread. We don't need none of that. Now, on your journey, the one thing you want to do is try to minimize carbs as much as possible. Me, I just cut out the carbs and sugar altogether. Now, twice since I started my journey, I may have had a little piece of apple cornbread that I made for my brother who has no problem burning fat. Okay. We're talking about us girls who are trying to get there and stay there. Okay. So for me, carbs was non-negotiable. No grits. I love grits. My mom taught me how to cook grits when I was 9. And I absolutely, positively love grits. Okay. But if you think about it, is it worth it? Yes, it is. Now, let's talk about exercise. And we touched on this earlier. Our first daily exercise should be in a fasted state. So when I am home, I get up at the wee hours of the morning and go walking. If it's too dark, I will go to the gym and walk on the treadmill. If it's daytime, now this is summertime, this is June. If it's daytime, then I will go out and take a hike, a 2-mile hike every day. Now, I'm not saying you should do it the way that I do it. I do it 7 days a week. I am exercising 7 days a week. So I would recommend that if you are just starting out 5 times a week for 30 minutes. I do it 7 days a week for roughly 45 minutes. Okay. 5 times a week, 25, 30 minutes. Okay. That way you'll have wiggle room. So when you start to peel down the weight, if you hit a plateau, you can step up your walking or your exercise. Okay. Because there's now things that I do to step it up so that I don't plateau too early. Because if you try this method that I'm explaining, you will lose weight. If you stick with it, you will lose weight. And consistency is the key. Okay. That is the biggest thing. So now, when you walk fed, after you have your healthy lunch or healthy dinner, you can take a 15-minute walk. Now, we have no excuse to be in front of the TV because I can look at a YouTube channel on my phone with my headphones on while I'm walking. So I don't get lazy and sit on the couch. Oh, you can take the TV with you nowadays. Fandango, all of that is on your apps on your phone. So now we don't really have any reason to really, oh man, I need to see this show. Take it with you. Put it on your phone. Listen to it while you're walking or whatever, or listen to your Bible reading or, whatever you like to listen to. So walking fasted is recommended for your first morning or first day's walk. Exercise fasted. Okay. Y'all with me so far? All right. So, like I said, once you break your fast, protein should always go down first. It should always go down first. Okay. So, in summary, fasting, cutting out carbs and refined carbs and refined sugar, remembering that as long as insulin is working, you cannot mobilize fat. In order to flatline insulin, you have to not be eating for certain many hours. After 4 hours, things start to mobilize, that fat vault starts to unlock, And boom, all the little fat cells get mobilized because your body needs fuel. If you don't have any fuel coming in, then your body is going to burn up what is stored. Think of yourself as a hybrid vehicle. It runs off electricity and it runs off gas. As long as you put in gas in that vehicle, that electricity, that electrical power is not going to power up. So the electrical power is like the stored fat we have. The fuel is like the food that we eat throughout the day or whenever. Okay. So as long as you're driving that car and let's say you see that your tank is almost on E. Now it'll switch over to electric mode if you don't fill up that tank. And then it'll start to use the power from that. If you fill up the tank, the electric mode is going to go back hybrid. And that's what happens. This is what we are doing. We are using a hybrid method of losing weight. Now, here's the key. Consistency. Consistency. Don't do it one day and then do it 2 days from now. This, when your body sees after about a week, when your body starts to see that that is what you're doing, oh, we're doing this. Oh, your body is very smart. Always remember, we are wonderfully made. The Creator put us together so well that your liver can repair itself. So the visceral fat that we lose when we start doing this is the fat around our organs. That's what makes our stomach bloated and everything. And always remember that eating sugar, like refined sugar, not fruits and stuff, because strawberries, berries, and stuff, and apples, they're good for you. But eating refined sugar is the same as drinking alcohol or we can end up developing a non-alcoholic fatty liver. And if we have a non-alcoholic fatty liver, our liver is behaving just like an alcoholic with cirrhosis of the liver has. But when we reverse that and start doing things the healthy way, guess what happens? Your liver starts to repair itself. Now, isn't that amazing how we are created? Okay. Now, I want to talk about GLP-1 shots because a girl at work brought this up to me. By the way, the reason I'm doing this video is because a lot of people have been asking me, and I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not going to keep the secret to myself. I'm not going to keep the formula to myself. I'm not like that. Okay. If you want to know, I'm going to tell you. If you want to know how I succeed in anything and you say, wow, how'd you do that? I'm going to tell you because I think everybody deserves a chance. Somebody told me, I started watching videos. People were putting the information out there. So why shouldn't I? Okay. So now let me talk about GLP-1s. Okay. I'm not bashing GLP-1s, but I would not dare recommend them because we can train our body to do better than what a GLP-1 can do for us. GLP-1 do not help us learn how to rewire our thinking and our system. Okay. The only thing GLP-1 does is it does the work for you. And the minute you get off of a GLP-1, you know what happens? You gain the weight back because that food noise comes back. The growling gremlin comes roaring back and it's saying, feed me, So GLP-1s are not good. I've known people to say that people have lost their hair. People have actually had vision problems because of that. People have gotten sick and all of that. And I am not pleased with the pharmaceutical industry because they are constantly telling us when they pump these drugs into us, they're telling us that there's something wrong with our body and not anything wrong with the processed foods. And this, if we get rid of the processed foods, especially, I can't emphasize enough, the refined carbs and sugar, if we put those down, that makes a world of difference. I've seen people just cut out sugar and eat maybe 2 meals a day. Because I'm like half of the week I'm on 2 meals a day. The other half of the week I'm on 1 meal a day. So when I'm home and I'm not at work, I can actually braid through a whole day until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and eat that 1 meal. And because of what I eat, it actually has satiety. It sustains you. So if you're eating protein and fiber, that is going to sustain you for hours. So by the time 7, 8 o'clock come, after I've eaten about 2 o'clock, and it's 6 hours later, it's time for me to go to bed because I go to bed early because I get up early. But those GLP-1s do not do anything but ruin us. And we need to remember that there is something wrong with the processed food and not your body. Your body can fix itself if we do the right thing. Fasting, walking, keeping our insulin levels low or flatlined, and all of that. And always remember that the standard American diet is the worst diet in the world. Somebody told us we needed 3 meals a day, and we're constantly eating. We need 3 meals a day and a couple of snacks in between. How are we going to mobilize fat burn if we're constantly eating and our insulin constantly stays up here? Eventually, insulin is going to say, look, I quit. And guess what happens? We become insulin resistant. And when we become insulin resistant, we have gained weight. Okay. Metabolic syndromes such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of those things are metabolic syndrome. And they demonized eggs back in the day, probably in the 60s, and told people, oh, eggs cause high cholesterol and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And parents started giving their kids cereal loaded with sugar. I remember the Captain Crunch, the Corn Flakes. And then they label this stuff where they make you think it's healthy. Corn Flakes, where is the corn in Corn Flakes? And even if there is any corn in it at all, because I don't know and I'm not trying to find out, how much corn is in Corn Flakes? Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles, loaded with sugar. So they'll slap a name on it and say, oh, this is a protein drink or whatever, and it's loaded with 30 grams of sugar. Oh, this is a protein bar and it's loaded with 40 grams of sugar or whatever. Oh, this is Fruit Loops and one bowl is loaded with 50 grams of sugar. So where's the fruit in Fruit Loops? Where's the fruit in Fruity Pebbles? Where's the corn in Corn Flakes? See, and this is how we have to think. It's the mind trick that they play on us, this industry plays on us, to keep us sick so that they can continue to get rich off of our sickness. Why is the Food and Drug Administration in the same building? I used to ride past it when I lived in DC. Food and Drug, the same pharmaceutical CEOs that push these drugs into us also invest in McDonald's and Taco Bell and all of those places. Y'all need to look at a video called They Are Killing Us. It's a YouTube video. They are killing us. Look up that video. You'll find out a whole lot about what they are doing to us. Somebody wants you sick. So remember, the more we eat carbs, the more we're going to crave them. And the thing about it is that consistency. Now let's get to the end of this, okay? Because I think I pretty much touched on everything I wanted. And if I didn't, I'm going to make another video because I'm going to make another video about some other stuff pertaining to this. But this is more like part one. Consistency, okay. Here's what's going to happen after your first few days of walking and not eating a lot and stuff, because when we fast, our body begins to repair itself. Your brain ends up having more clarity and you start to feel good before you even start seeing results. Now, I'm going to tell you all something. If you remain consistent, it is not going to take you that long to see results. It might be like a month. I remember I started this in February, and I started in February at the weight of 204 pounds, and I was a size 16. Okay. By the time April rolled around, and this is like late February when I started, by the time early April rolled around, I started to have noticed my clothes starting to fit different. When I went to the doctor earlier this month, this is June, earlier this month, you know what happened? I was down to 171 pounds. Now, that was about 2 weeks ago or over a week ago. Okay. Now I might have slipped down into the 160s. My goal is 155. Okay. And I am now a size 10, 12. I can fit some 10s, but on the average of 12. But I slid down from a 16. This is why I'm telling you guys, you ladies, this does not take long. This does not take long at all. If you remain consistent with these steps, you will find yourself looking at yourself by maybe August and saying, wow, I couldn't even zip these jeans up. Now they can zip. They still tight, but they can zip up. Oh, I couldn't even fit this dress, and now I can slip it on. Wow. And you will start to see it with the consistency. Okay. So my brother is an example of someone who did what I was doing. And he was here visiting me in April. And since he left, now it's been over a month since he left, he has lost 29 pounds. Consistency. He cut out the sugar. I'm telling y'all, I cannot. I'm sorry. I know this is my third round on this. Sugar is not negotiable. Sugar has to go. Okay. I cannot emphasize that enough. So, like I said, you're going to start to feel better before you even start seeing results. And that feel good feeling is what's going to help you mentally and emotionally fuel yourself to continue. And so now, ladies, that's my story. And I hope that whatever I said in this video helps anybody who's watching. You can do it. Okay. I tend to be people's biggest cheerleader. Like my brother said, you will have people really believing they can fly, sis. He said that to me. He said, you will make a person think they can do anything, because I know that you can, because I am a driven person myself. And like I said, you ask me something, I'm not gatekeeping. I'm going to tell you how it's done. I've coached people with writing books. I've coached people with doing independent film. I've been people's biggest coach and biggest cheerleader and biggest advocate. Okay, I will do that. So I really hope that this was helpful for y'all, because I want to see you succeed just the way that I did. Okay, with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead on and cut on out of here, and I'll see y'all and be safe, okay?